This is the Sony kit lens 16 to 50mm versus the G Master 16 to 55mm lens. First of all, I consider myself a fairly new videographer. I've been filming since early 2018 and I made some experience in the video game, but everything you hear is my opinion, and just keep in mind, I'm not a pro. Let's take a quick look at the specs of both lenses. The kit lens 16 to 50mm focal length, variable aperture from 3.5 to 5.6, power zoom, pretty light and small compact size. The lens features OSS, price from $100 to $200. The G Master 16 to 55mm focal length, fixed aperture 2.8, manual zoom, a switch button to change from autofocus to manual focus, and an extra custom button you can use for whatever you like to. I don't use it at all. Little bit heavier than the kit lens, the size is totally fine. Price, the cheapest I found was $1,184. No OSS available. So the G Master is around $1,000 more than the kit lens. And we're about to find out why and for who this lens is for. It's a beautiful day here in Switzerland. Let's grab the lenses and go for a nice little shoot. And you have to figure out which sequence was shot on which lens. Here we go! Just to make things clear, the video was filmed handheld on the Sony A6400. On the kit lens I used the Hoya ND filters, on the G Master I used the Pro Vari ND filter. Everything was shot on a custom-made Cine 4 picture profile. I color corrected the footage and also color graded everything. So could you figure out which sequence was filmed with the G Master? A or B? Is there $1,000 difference? Sequence A was the G Master, sequence B was the kit lens. Let's be honest, in this real life scenario, the differences are very small. If you shoot during the day, you're at a cool location, the kit lens will do the job. Autofocus is great, the stabilization works well, and the bokeh is fine too. So why do you pay $1,000 more for the G Master? Just because it is a G Master? No, there is a huge difference between the two lenses, the aperture. The kit lens, the lowest you can dial in is 3.5 at 16mm focal length. If you zoom in, it will go up to 5.6 aperture. With the G Master, it's 2.8 all the way from 16mm focal length to 55mm. And don't forget, one stop more light does make a huge difference in a low light scenario. Now, if you're new to this channel, you may not know, but I'm a nightclub owner. The filming I'm doing is around 70% of low light and 30% of vlogging, party announcement videos, and also when I'm traveling with my family, I love to capture some nice memories. So the kit lens does a very good job, except in low light. There is a little bit of a story why I upgraded my kit lens and why I needed this lens, and maybe also why you need this lens too. Here's the story. The opening of my nightclub was in the year 2016. The first few months I had a friend of mine taking every weekend pictures. As a payment I offered him free drinks the whole night. And it was pretty fun and everybody just had a good time. But after some months, my friend moved to another city and he didn't want to be always taking pictures when he's out partying with his friends. And so I had to get some other photographers. And it became pretty quickly very expensive to hire always a photographer for every party. So I decided to buy myself a camera and start my photography journey. I mean, how hard can it be, right? Well, I was wrong. I bought the Sony A6000 with the Samyang f.2, aperture 14mm focal length, and I got some pretty decent shots. I was pretty happy. I saved some money because I could take the pictures myself, and I have to admit I really enjoyed taking pictures with a pretty simple and cheap setup. I got some great feedback from the customers about the pictures, and I started to grow on Instagram and Facebook. But after some months, all the pictures I took looked the same. The likes on Facebook and Instagram were slowly getting lower and lower, so I knew I had to change the game. Unfortunately, somehow I lost my Sony A6000 during a travel weekend with my family. But I didn't waste any time and I upgraded to the new release Sony A6400, which came with the kit lens. And I also bought again the Samyang f.2 40mm manual lens. To improve my photo skills, I also bought a small Sony flash, and from then on it went pretty quickly bad and ugly for me. Because if you're shooting with a flash in a dark room and the autofocus on your lens is slow, like on a 3.5 aperture, it's too dark for the autofocus to work really good. Sometimes the pictures were sharp and sometimes it was horrible. So I tried to take the pictures with the flash in manual mode and also manual mode on the lens. It worked a little bit better, but it wasn't satisfying at all. It was pretty amateur and embarrassing. In a nightclub, if you're walking around with a camera, people will tap you on the shoulder and they will ask you if you can take a picture of them. They mostly gather their friends around, they smile or try to be funny. You take the picture and mostly comment they want to take a look at the picture. And for me, it was always very embarrassing when the picture was out of focus. I just didn't have any control. It was like a 50-50 deal. So I knew I had to change something, and Sony just announced the long-awaited APS-C lens 16-55 f2.8 aperture. I bought it and it changed the game for me. I was pretty happy how my setup looked, how it felt, everything just got more professionally. And I started to enjoy again taking pictures in my club. It worked very well with the flash, without flash, very good autofocus, in the dark, nice bokeh. It just felt right. This lens brought me lots of joy, nice pictures, and it even got me motivated to start filming. I know, this was a pretty long story, but I think it's an important story so you can understand my conclusion. If you don't need to take pictures often in low light, you don't think about taking pictures with a flash, or it's okay for you to pump that ISO and maybe get a little bit of noise in your pictures, and the bokeh of 3.5 till 5.6 is okay for you, buy the kit lens or keep the kit lens. In this case, I don't recommend upgrading to the very expensive G Master. You're better off saving the money for a 70-200mm lens or buy the Samyang f.2. If you're thinking about low light and you like to have a zoom lens, you're okay to have no OSS, and you're thinking about working one day with a flash, go for the G Master. You're safe there. It's sharp, feels nice in your hands and looks professionally. Alright guys, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye. Okay, ist das gut?